So after I let go of my false identity as a consultant and all the baggage that went with it, I came across this picture of my family when we were at Disney. Anyone go to Disney when they were little? Yeah. Anyone have a mom who was as obsessive as mine, who kept making us take pictures with all the characters and all be in a row? So what I love about this particular picture is it really does reflect my family dynamics. Is my siblings are over there on the right side of Pooh, and they were obedient. They did exactly what my mother wanted. They stood there. Now you could tell my brother was not thrilled about standing there, but he did it anyway, correct? But then there's me. It's sporting this like lovely bowl cut, and don't you love those knee socks? And what a great style. So I was obsessed with all of the characters. Every time I saw a character, I did not smile forward. I had to see in the character. I had to look inside. I'd be on my tippy toes. And you can't tell, but in the honey pot is where all the netting is. And the guy was inside. I'm like, I have to see, who is he? Who is he? You could tell I don't even care about my ice cream. My ice cream's just like flipping on over, like, who cares? Whatever, ice cream. But the guy, I'm sure he was looking at me like that guy behind it, where it's like, okay, little girl, what in the world are you doing? But I had to see what's inside. And that's when I realized like what my purpose is and what I'm all about is I have to see what's inside. I don't care about what's on the surface of the facade of what anybody looks like or what they're projecting. I want to know who they are in their core. And so that's what I decided to build my business on, is pulling out the magic and the beauty of what's inside of somebody and bringing it to life and helping them see how amazing they are. So then I pivoted my business and I discovered my dream and what I'm supposed to do and what I'm here to do. It was when I landed my first 6-figure consulting gig that I realized that I built the wrong business. I landed this client and they were in London and they flew me there first class. It was the most amazing experience. Anybody fly international flights is it an experience? I've never been in anything like that. You walk in and instead of going to the right where everybody's all squished together, you go over to the left where you have your own private little pod, which was wonderful if you're somebody like me who does not want to have 8 hours of a conversation with a stranger because you could shut the door. And they bring you the champagne just like you imagine they would, and I'm sipping the champagne and this is amazing. I called my friend Lisa and she's like, oh my gosh, you are living the dream. I'm like, yeah, I'm living the dream. I'm on this plane. I take my 2 Benadryl because, jet lag and you had to learn how to sleep on the plane and all of that. I get met at the airport with the limo driver with, my name on the card, so I felt really important. Miss Jordyn, come here. So I got the limo ride to the posh hotel. It's like, this is amazing. I go up to my room. I call my kids who are home with a nanny. And I had a breakdown like, oh my gosh, this is not why I started my business. My kids are home with a nanny. And it was at that moment I realized I was living the dream, but somebody else's dream. There were a lot of reasons why I left my dream job at Walt Disney World to start my own business. So when I started at Disney, it was everything you would imagine it to be. Working in this huge theme park environment, all the magic, all the childhood memories, everything that was there. The best executives, most strategic projects. I worked on the most amazing projects. I worked on projects where we helped bring the Imagineers and the operators together, and it was really strategic. I worked on a project to help rebrand the Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park. I could look at Everest and say, okay, I played a role in that because I helped facilitate the very first meeting that allowed this park and this product to come into being. There's so many things about it. It was a fulfillment of my master's degree. It was everything that I ever wanted. And it was a dream job. Literally, it really was. And then my dad died. And he was only 66, and it was one of those wake-up call, one of those moments. Anyone ever have a wake-up call moment where you thought you were going in one way, and then you go another way? And it was the most confusing thing in the entire world. It was one of those moments where I was like, I cannot live this unlived life because I felt like my identity was so tied to my job. And all of a sudden, I lost this love for consulting that was like a hand-in-glove fit for years and years, and I did not know what to do with myself. I was super confused. And then I had this 2-year-old about to turn 3, and it was like, this is my last chance. And it was one of those decisions that I'll never regret. It was the right decision, and I made the decision to leave Disney, even though everybody thought I was crazy. Everybody thought, like, why? Why would you ever leave this job? But I did it because I did not want to live an unlived life. And it was like I left for the potential of achieving my potential. So after I left Disney, I took some time and I'm like, you know what, I really want to figure out what I want to do, and I started thinking like, I really want to work with people and I want to work more one-on-one. I love helping people on an individual basis. But then unexpectedly I got divorced. So I was in this mode where it's like, I got to giddy up and go. Got to get something going. I got to do something. So I'm like, I don't want to go back to corporate. So you know what I'm going to do, even though I was so sick of consulting, I'm going to start a consulting business. That's what I'm going to do. This solves the problem. And I remember the internal dialogue in my head justifying my decision. Like, oh yeah, this is the right thing to do. This is smart. Yeah, I know you're in school to learn how to coach and work with individuals, but this is the smart decision, right? I'm like, well, the song says 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Yeah. Until I go to London and I built the wrong business. So it was in that moment that I realized this was not a good decision. And not only that, I came back and I was facing clinical burnout. And I really had to do something. So I was at another crossroads yet again. So what do you think somebody smart would do in this crossroads when they're at clinical burnout?
Take a vacation.
Start a second business. So that's a smarter one. Taking a vacation would have been a smarter idea. Taking a break, reevaluating, maybe getting another coach at that point in time. I'm like, but you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to monetize all of my tools and approaches, and I'm going to start a second business where I'm going to start mentoring other people in consulting. That field I was getting so sick of. And so now I have 2 businesses, and this seems really smart, right? So again, I'm back at my crossroads, and it's like, let's make the logical choice, right? Logical choice. So here's what happened. So I spent a lot of money creating courses and doing all kinds of things. I spent a lot of money on a new website where I had both of these businesses right next to one another, and guess what happened? They both failed. I confused my audience. I destroyed my organic search altogether. I didn't have a new client come out of my website for a year when I was constantly having clients all the whole time. And I destroyed both of it. So now I had financial crisis on top of my burnout. So this was really fun. So for years, all of this time, my accountant kept saying you can't get rid of your consulting business until you make this other business more successful. It's just never going to happen. You got to carry both. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do both, but now we're in a new place because bottom fell out. What am I going to do? So here's what I wound up doing. I finally figured out what the problem was. And the problem was I was double-minded at my crossroads. I didn't really make a choice. I looked like I made a choice, but I didn't. I was going in this direction, and then I was going in this direction. And so this is where my burnout was. And I had to make a choice. Which one am I going to do? What am I going to let go of? And I decided I let go of this false identity that I've been dragging with me everywhere. Because what I discovered was consulting wasn't what I did. It became who I was. Who was I if I did not know? Let me say it again. Who was I if I wasn't known as a consultant? I left Disney because I was so terrified that if I died and all it said on my epitaph is, here lies Betsy, she was a great consultant. And all I do is I hold on to this thing with 2 hands for years and years and years, dragging it along, thinking, well, this is who I am. So your professional identity is not who you are. It's not your entire identity. It is something that you do, no matter what. So I let that go. And then the real part of me and who I am emerged. And so once I let go of that false identity, and then poo story. So I want to tell you about my brand building process and what I do with my clients. And what I'm really doing is not brand building from a marketing standpoint, it's identity unearthing, true identity unearthing. And here's usually how the engagement starts. I have a client who calls me and they're hit that crossroads that I was at. And they're saying something happened where they lost their job. They got some sort of boss that is just a terror and they can't live with it. I know none of you can relate to that whole idea of having that terror of a boss, right? So they have that situation. They hit burnout or something. They hit the top of their profession and now they're at that existential crisis that I was and they want more out of their life. So they come to me with the same old expectations that they might have had in corporate as, hey, can we do like a strategy meeting, or can we do something where we can figure out like what my business is all about and who I am and what do I want and all of that? Can we do that? So they're kind of like hoping that we're going to do like, one of those typical consulting flip chart exercises, like, hey, let's brainstorm and let's vision and all of that. And what I tell them at the beginning, and this is the core of a true brand building process or a true identity building process, or figuring out your purpose, or however you want to call it. And what I want to emphasize to you is what I emphasize to them. We want it to be the same, where we have a goal, we could set a goal, we could achieve a goal. Your purpose, your identity, what you're here for, the work that's meant for you, is not a goal to achieve. It's a gift to receive. It's not a creation exercise, it's an excavation exercise. So a better artistic analogy, maybe not something like drawing or art or something along those lines, it's a little bit more like sculpture. So I'm going to help you see it by creating a sculpture for you. So I'm going to set up my workspace here. I might need a little help to get this granite up. I don't know if anyone wants to help me, but okay. Okay, so picture this beautiful block of marble. And this block of marble represents all of the majesty of your first half of your career. So what are some of the things that you might see all over this gorgeous marble? Degrees, yep. Promotions. Awards. Certificates. Anything else? Money. Your status. Raises. Your bonuses. Title. What about that corner office? All those expectations. These are all these wonderful things that we did to create the first half of our career. And what happens is it obscures the purpose that's inherent within. And so what we want to do is we want to unearth what's in there. Michelangelo would look into a block of marble and say, the creation is already there. I just need to chip away of everything that's not it. That's how you discover your purpose. You don't have to sit around in some sort of deep reflection exercise, but how you get there is where it's tricky. How you get there is that you have to understand your role and you have to understand the tools. So you are the creation, the perfect creation, everything that's there. And then there's the divine, who's the sculptor, who I would be afraid to pretend that I'm going to play that role in this little exercise here, but just imagine the divine, universe, however you define it. But then the tool that the divine might use is that chisel. And what's the chisel? Is all those things that are difficult, all of the challenge in our life, all of those things that we want to run away from, but these are the things to embrace because this is going to be what helps the purpose emerge. So it's like things like what I had: divorce, death, COVID-19, and a pandemic. These are the gifts to embrace in order to get to this particular outcome. So the main principle that I would want you to walk away with is, if you want to have work that you love, if you want to have your purpose and you want to be able to be in this type of lifestyle where you are you, the only answer that you need to worry about is, what do you need to let go of that's not you? And as you let go of those things that are not you, the real self will emerge. Okay, so let's do my favorite number one, never fail brand building exercise. Are you ready?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, so what I want you to do is imagine yourself as a small child before anybody told you who you should be. And I want you to think about what you played with. What was your favorite toy when you were young? Tonka truck.
I played teacher.
You played teacher.
Mm-hmm. Books. Mm-hmm. Roller skates. I turned my trash can into a drum set.
You did what?
I turned my trash can into a drum set.
Turn your trash can into a drum set. Interesting. What did you play with when you were little?
Books.
Books. Okay, so how did you play with these things is the second question. Think about the toys that you played with and how you played with them. I have 2 kids. I observe them all the time. I have my older daughter who was obsessed with sharks ever since she was like 2.5. She got like this book and it had like this scary looking shark with all these teeth. And we would be reading this animal book and I'd be flipping it over thinking that she would be scared, and she'd keep flipping back, and it's like, okay. She's now in university studying marine biology to be a shark biologist. My other daughter, she likes to take all the stuffed animals and Barbies and line them all up. And she's like my little leader, she likes to make them all do things. When you think about the toys that you played with and how you played with them, they'll tell you so much around what you want to do in your career and what is really authentic to you. So when you think about your younger self and you think about the career and the life that you have now, is there a disconnect? And if there is, no judgment, just full of compassion, just think about one thing that you can do to bring these back together so that the true self that is already there, already perfect, already strong, can emerge. Thank you.